Wednesday, my lovelies. Today is our last day of review for this unit, and then you're done. And then tomorrow you're just going to do a quiz about everything that we've just reviewed. And then I'll talk about the quiz tomorrow at the end of this lesson, but let me just get through the lesson today. So today, again, is a very short, it's a simple one. I think today you're also going to find very easy, the memory will just come back really quickly. So today's, we're going to look at three mini topics. One is wordings of how to say the proper decimals in words, and then how to put words in decimals, and then adding and subtracting decimals. So very easy, small, free topics today. So let's get it started. Let's do decimals to words first. Decimal. I still can't believe it's the 22nd already. I feel like days are going by so fast. How about you? Do you think that days are going by fast or slow, or I don't know? For me, they're going by very fast. Okay, decimals to words. Okay, so what's here? Let's see, I've got, and once again, yesterday I feel like I said it like 20 times, but I'll say it for the 21st time today. As long as you know, in regards to the whole decimal unit, as long as you know your place values for those three things, tenths, hundredths, thousandths, you're golden. It's very easy. So if I gave you this, 0.9, what would that be in words? How can I say this in words? So how do I write it down? I don't just say 0.9. This would be, so you would write down the number 9. And what place value is the 9 in? It is in the tenths. So your step 1 is to write down the number, which is 9, and I wrote that in words. And what place value? Tenths. Okay, easy enough. Let's do, let me write down 2. Maybe you can try doing it even before I get it. So maybe pause and try doing it. See how much you remember, if you remember. If you don't, you're just doing it with me. So same thing here. You write down the whole number. So the whole number happens to be 45. Right? So far, so good. So super easy. And then you have to have a place value, right? What is it? You look at the last, again, the last value, place value in the digit. It's 5, and what place value is this? Tenths, hundredths. So it's 45 hundredths. And make sure you're spelling it right. Hundredths. Not 100, because that would mean it's on the left side of the decimal. We want hundredths on the right side of the decimal. Now, it's not 45 tenths, because that would be this, right? We want the last digit. What is the place value of the last digit, which is hundredths? Next one. Try doing this. Maybe pause, try doing this on your own now. What do you think this would be? So first job is to write down the number. So this big number happens to be, and when you're reading the number, read it like you normally would, even if there was a decimal or not. This, whenever you used to see this before decimals, it was always 582. It's still 582. So I'll write that down. 500, not hundredths, right? Because this on its own is 582. 100, right? 582, and then I know I need to have an ending. What place value is the last digit in? Tenths, hundreds, thousandths. So thousandths. Right? So I put the number 582 thousandths, right? Easy enough. And please don't write down 582. Do not put and. I'll tell you why. In a few moments, I'll tell you why. The only time you should ever be putting and I'll tell you that in just a second. Yeah. Okay, so far so good? Let's see if I have. And I'll do these together. Right? So remember the difference, right? They're not the same, obviously. This one would be what? 3. And remember, they're both going to be 3. But what place values are the last digits in? So this one is 3 what? What's the place value of this digit? Tenths. And then what's the place value of this 3? Hundredths, right? So even though the numbers themselves are the same, the ending or the place values are different. So be careful. That's why, again, you need to know your place values. What if I had, let's see, and this is where it's going to come. What if I had a value in the ones? Now, this is where the only time you should be using and. So this time, whenever you see a decimal, that will always become and. And I think your memory is coming back. Anytime you see anytime you see a decimal, when you're putting them into words, that decimal becomes an and. So think of them decimal, and. They have to be equivalent. They're equal. That's the same thing. If I see and, it's a decimal. If I see a decimal, that's an and. So when I'm writing this, again, write it like you would, like if it's, so you start with the 1, so I have 1, right? Just go in order. Like read it like you normally would in a number, right? 1, and, because it's a decimal, so 1, and 3, and what place value is the 3 in? Tenths, hundredths. You see that? A few new things. So whenever I see a number before the decimal, you have to put and. The reason why we didn't put and here is because there were zeros. You're not going to say 0 and 3/10. You could. It's just not mathematically correct, right? It's not wrong, but it's not correct. You wouldn't say 0 and 3/10, 0 and 3/100, right? Because it just doesn't make sense. If it's 0, it's 0. You don't need to mention it. But as soon as there's a value and anything before the decimal, you have to mention it. You have to say 1 and 3/100. That's the same as, let's say if I have, and I'll keep that one there for a moment. That's the same to say if I had, let's say if I had, what about this? This has now, so once again, read it like you would like a normal number. First, just look at this one. Okay, 32. Think of chunks, right? 32. Remember, as soon as I see a decimal, I have to right away put and. Okay, 32 and. Okay, this is 14. 14 what? What's the place value of the last digit? Tenths, hundredths, thousandths. See, as long as you do it slowly and in chunks, you're going to be just fine, right? First, do anything before the decimal, then do the decimal, which is and then whatever the number is after the decimal. So 32 and 14 thousandths, right? Not 1400ths, 14 thousandths. Remember that, okay? Let's maybe do one more. Let's do, I'm trying to make a tough one. Now, again, do it in chunks. Do before the decimal, then after decimal. So, let's do before. What would this be normally? If I just saw this as a number, this is 1,900. Okay, so 1,000, not thousandths, because that's just whole, right? 1,000. I'm sorry if it's slanted. I'm trying to not go in front of the screen. So if my writing ever goes slanted, that's why, because I'm kind of like on this end. 1,900. Trying my best not to. Okay, that takes care of this. This part is done. 1,900. As soon as I see a decimal, and, done my and now let's do this chunk. I put my 3 what? So what place value is the 3 in? Hundredths. So trust me, if you just take it slow and you do it chunk by chunk, there's very, very minimal chances of you getting it wrong. So do the number before the decimal, then the numbers after the decimal. So this becomes 1,900 and 3/100. Okay? That's when I'm going from my decimal to words. I will definitely post some extra practice. I do want you to do a review for this. The more you do it, the easier it will become for you. But you might now, and I think, yeah. Now let's try to do words to decimals. That's decimals to words. Now, what if I gave it to you in word form? Words to decimal. So that's, if I give you, let's say, 78 hundredths. Now, your first job is to see, Do I see the word and? Do I see any and? Because if I see an and, that means there's numbers before it. I don't see any and. That tells me right away that's 0 decimal. There's nothing before the and, right? We just learned that. So right away, I've already done some of my decimal. Now I go to look at the rest of it. It says 78 hundredths. So I'm going to write down 78 and hundredths. Did I end on the hundredths? I did, because that's tenths, hundredths. That's correct. But what if I said, and I'll use a similar example, I'll say 70. What if I had said 78 thousandths? And this is why I need you to be really careful. So I'm going to do the same thing. Is there an and anywhere in my sentence? No. So I know right away that there's nothing in the ones, or the tens, or the hundreds. And then I'm going to write down my number, 78. Now I'm going to check. My ending should be thousandths. So, is my last value in the thousandths? No, that's tenths, hundredths. That tells me that I will still have 78, but I need to have a 0 here, right? Then it's correct. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths. I did this back to back so you know. So 78 thousandths would have a 0 in the tenths. This wouldn't, because that's tenths, hundredths. Okay? That's a difference. Please be mindful of that. Let's do a few more examples. Let's do, what if I had 300, be careful, look at all the endings, and 9 hundredths. So I'm doing a lot of tricky ones on purpose, or things that may trick people. They may not be tricky, but they may trick people. So let's look at a few things. I already see and. So right away that tells me there's going to be a number before the decimal. I need the decimal, there will be some numbers here. And remember, I have 100 and hundredths. So I know anytime you see there's no THS, that means it's on the left side of the decimal. So 300, okay, I know what 300 looks like. 300 and, so far so good. 300 and 300 and 9 hundredths. So I have 9, and I'll put 9 here, but my ending is hundredths. And what place value right now is my 9 in? In the tenths. So I know it's not just that. I know I need to put a 0, 9. So it's okay if you put a number and then go check. That's good. Now I can check. Okay, 300, yeah, and is my decimal. 9 hundredths. So I've got 9, and this is tenths, hundredths, perfect. Then it's correct. So double check your endings. Let's do maybe 2 more. 222 and 1 thousandths. Okay, so what would this be? So right away, I want your mind to have been thinking, oh, I see and, so I know I have numbers before the decimal. I'm going to leave some space. I know there's going to be something here and then something here. I know that. Then do it in chunks. So I see some numbers without THS, so again, I know there's going to be something here. It says 222. How would that be normally written, right? 222, right? 222 and 1 thousandths. So I'm going to put 1, but now let's double check. My ending needs to be thousandths. Right now, that's not thousandths, that's tenths. So what does that tell me? I need to do what? I need to put 0, 0, 1. Then this is correct. This is 222 and 1 thousandths, because this is tenths, hundredths, thousandths. Okay? And then let's do one more example, and then we're almost done. Let's do, oh yeah, we just did that one. Yeah, perfect. Okay, now let's do last topic. So we've done words to decimals, decimals to words. Now let's just do adding and subtracting. And of course, I'm actually wishing they're going, oh, Miss Mavish, we know this. Because adding and subtraction, I'll say adding and subtracting something you've been doing since, gosh, grade 2 maybe, grade 1 even, right? Now the reason we have to review it is because decimals may trick some of us, not all of us, and it should trick us, but we just need to do a quick review. Unfortunately, when I did this, I remember when I taught this lesson in class, there's a few of my friends, and I know Miss Rachel said some of hers and Mr. Matt too, that don't even remember how to add and subtract, which is insane to us. You cannot be in that boat. You need to know. So on your free time, when you're done these quizzes and whenever you're like, all of those of you who are saying, we're bored, we don't know what to do, some of you may need to re-review your multiplication facts. Some of you may need to be reviewing your division, your addition, or your subtraction, because some of us forget how to carry over, okay? So I know we laugh about it, Miss Mavish, why are you teaching us? But some of us do need to be reviewing, unfortunately. So if I said, I need you to add these two numbers, 34, actually I'll say it in a moment, let me write this down, then I can, okay? And remember, this is 34 and 902 thousandths plus 13 and 101 thousandths. Now, first step is just to set up the stage, and we know addition stage. So I'm going to write 34 decimal 902, and your best friend for addition and subtraction with decimals is going to be how straight and how neat you are. So you need to line up the decimal. So I'm going to line up the decimal first. So always just put the decimal first, then start going. I'm going to write 1, 0, 1, and I'm going right underneath it. You've got grid paper, so that's perfect. Do it in every box, right? I'm not doing instead. Please don't do this. Don't squish it. Do place value. So the tenths should be under the tenths. The hundreds should be under the hundredths. The thousands should be the under thousands. Then everything here. There. So you see how perfectly, or close to perfect, I don't have grid paper, but I'm trying to be as perfect as possible. And then you just add. So 2 plus 1 is 3. 0 plus 0 is 0. 9 plus 1 is 10. Remember, I have to carry that one over. And now with decimals, you just bring it down. The rule is just to bring it down. Okay? Then 4 plus 3 plus 1, 8. 3 plus 1 is 4. Okay? I'll do the same numbers and I'll subtract. Okay? So I can review subtraction. It's the same thing, subtraction. And you may just want to start with putting your decimals so you don't forget the decimals, because unfortunately some of us just forget. They get the right number, but they forgot the decimal point. Now you're subtracting. 2 minus 1 is 1. 0 minus 0 is 0. 9 subtract 1 is 8. 4 minus 3 is 1. 3 minus 1 is 2. So that's adding and subtracting. Okay, I did adding and subtracting. Now, let's see, let's do maybe one more, and then we can call it a day. What if I've got, okay, so I've got 34 and 902 thousandths plus 1 and 13 hundredths. So again, I'm going to set up my stage, and I'm going to put it very neatly, every place value. And I'm going to start with a decimal for the second one. And I'm going to put the numbers first, and then the numbers. So, now normally, I mean that looks, you could still do it, but it looks a little wonky. Now, what are these empty spaces mean? It just means that there's nothing there. And when math, if there's nothing there, that means it's a 0. You can just add like this if it doesn't bother you, but for those of you that just, because it looks very odd, if you want to put zeros, you're welcome to put zeros. Because that's all that is. It is just zeros, nothing. But you can put the number in if it's bothering you, if it's getting a little too complicated. That's totally okay. And then you're just adding. 2 plus 0 is 2. 0 plus 3 is 3. 9 plus 1 is 10. And again, my decimal's always there. 4 plus 1 plus 1. 6. 3 plus 0 is 3. Okay? Now, let me just do subtraction first before I give you my tips. Subtraction would be 2 minus 0 is 2. 0 minus 3, you can't do that, right? And this is where some of us are still getting confused with subtraction. You can't take away. If I have nothing, can I take away 3? No. So you have to borrow. So the 9 becomes an 8. You carry over, that 0 becomes a 10. Now you can say 10 subtract 3 is 7. 8 subtract 1 is 7. My decimal just always comes down. 4 subtract 1 is 3. 3 subtract 0 is, 3 subtract 0 is 3. Okay? Now, and I'm not going to do more examples, so that's all it is. It's just adding and subtracting. The only thing you need to do and make sure is that you line up place values. So even though that this had something in the tens, and this it didn't matter. It just meant that you have to put it in the correct place value and just put zeros anywhere there isn't, right? Anywhere that there isn't, if it confuses you, put a 0. If it doesn't confuse you, you don't need to put it. You can still do the work because in your mind, you know it's just nothing. Okay, and that's the third topic, adding and subtracting decimals. Super easy. I know a lot of us found it really easy. It was just that thing. It was just making sure they're lined up, that my tenths are in line, right? My tenths are in line, my hundredths and my thousands. Okay, and that's it. So today's was just putting words to decimals, decimals to words, and the last one is just adding and subtracting. So after this video, so in a few moments, I want you to make sure if you need to review, again, go back to your notebook and review. If you're ready for the quiz, go do the Edmodo quiz, just a few questions on just doing what we just did. And then that's it. So tomorrow you're going to have and I'm not calling it a test because it's not really a test, it's just a big check-in for these 3 days. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, everything I taught you was just a quick review of the unit, the previous unit, right? Fraction decimal unit. If you remember, we weren't able to get to that test. Instead of doing a major test, we're just going to do a big quiz. So tomorrow will be, I'm not teaching any lesson tomorrow. Normally on Thursdays we don't. It's your review catch-up period anyways. But tomorrow for math, you do have to do that quiz, check-in, big quiz, whatever you want to call it, on these 3 topics. So for review for tonight, I would, again, review all of these videos if you want to. I would go back to the study guide that I had posted, and I'll post it again. It was in our folders. Maybe you want to flip through the study guide that you completed, because it was 3 weeks ago that you did it. Maybe you want to look at the extra practices I posted in the folder. If you want to ask any questions, you can ask us, and then tomorrow just make sure you do the quiz. It is obviously mandatory. Tomorrow's quiz will be the last thing that's going to go into your mark for math this term, and then I'm finishing up report cards this weekend, and I have to give it to Miss Robin by the end of this weekend. So this is your last chance to show us how much you have understood and how wonderful you are doing. Because I know a lot of you are all working really hard now. This is the last thing to do in math to show us that. Okay? So good luck. Message me if you have any troubles, if you have any questions before the quiz tomorrow. Don't ask me tomorrow right before you're doing the quiz. I don't know how to do decimals. Well, I'm not going to answer that because that's ridiculous, right? Of course. Ask me today. But you should have been asking me on Monday. So if you have any questions, ask me now. And that's about it. So have fun. Make sure you do the quiz today and then be ready for the big quiz tomorrow. Okay?